welcome to the course of Urban Planning. Today in this section, we are going to explore the local area plan with the help of an example of a zonal plan under the larger ambit of different levels of plans. By now, we have already covered perspective plan, regional plan and development plan. You have been exploring how the geographical coverage and the intensity of the details changes with these plans and how they interconnect and integrate with each other to meet common goals while addressing the local needs both for long-term and immediate concerns. So today we are going to learn about local area plan, how does it fits into the larger purpose, how it addresses the long-term goals and the immediate concerns, and the details local area plan covers. So accordingly, we will cover the intent of the local area plan. Thereafter, we will familiarize ourselves to various kinds of local area plans. In this section, we will walk through the zonal plan of Delhi to understand the intent and content of the local area plan. The learning outcomes targeted in today's lecture are to develop your ability to explain the purpose of the local area plan, to help you identify different kinds of local area plans, to develop your skills to synthesize and review local area plan, in particular to the zonal plan. Looking at the intent, in the local area plan, we provide the detailed land use plan of the sub-city and integrate with the urban infrastructure, mobility and services. The time period for the local area plan ranges from 5 to 20 years with review schedule at every 5 years. Examples of local area plan include zonal plan or sub-city plan, town planning schemes, ward committee plan, coastal zone management plan, urban development plan, urban redevelopment plan. Once the development plan is prepared, its proposals can be further implemented by preparing local area plan. Local area plan is significant in the view of 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. As a local area plan, in its true sense, allows disaggregation of the planning decision and implementation process. Local area plan improves the implementation of the development plan, and most importantly, local area plan brings the planning process closer to the local people. It allows the realization of the development in our neighborhoods. Local area plans are primarily prepared to guide the development or redevelopment of the land, to conserve the buildings and the physical features, to improve the physical layout, to facilitate access to infrastructure and amenities, to manage the area to enhance health and safety of the residents, to support the economic development, and to enhance the quality of living and the environment. Local area plan is used for improving the service delivery mechanism and the community participation. While preparing the local area plan, it is also important that in the plan, implementation details are specified and are aligned with the government policies, such as the state land use policy, state perspective plan and or state urbanization policy, state urban housing or affordable policy, township and integrated township policy, rainwater harvesting policy, energy policy, disaster management policy, industrial and service sector investment policy, policy for barrier-free environment for elderly and the physically disabled, e-governance and information technology policy, tourism policy and similar other policies. In the local area plan, specific projects within the planning area should be prepared. In the local area plan, the land reserved for different purposes such as roads, for public purpose, for construction or for reclamation should be delineated. The local area plan provides a framework for recovery of the associated cost for the proposed public projects. The mechanism adopted could be levy of betterment charges, charges on additional development rights, or user charges. Now, let us look at the example of Delhi. We are looking at the Master Plan of Delhi 2021, where planners had prepared the master plan for the entire city. In order to prepare the detailed sub-city land use plan, the Delhi planning area is further subdivided into 15 planning zones, or we can call it divisions, designated alphabet A to P zones, excluding I as per Master Plan of 2021, as we can see in the image. These zonal plan integrate the area with the urban infrastructure, mobility and services. These zonal plans help in implementing the development plan of Delhi through guiding the detailed development in these zones. A zonal development plan means a plan for each zone, division containing information such as regarding provision of social infrastructure, parks and open spaces and circulation system. The zonal development plan indicates the actual as well as proposed use zones designated in the 9 land use categories stated in the master plan, according to which the area in the zone is to be finally developed. We will look in detail the zonal plan F of Delhi to understand the intent and content of a zonal plan document. Zonal plan F covers South Delhi 1 area. The hierarchy of urban development indicated in the zonal development plan is in conformity with the Master Plan 2021. Zone F, covering an area of nearly 11,958 hectares, is situated towards the south of Ring Road from Daula Kuan to Maharani Bagh. In the east, it is bounded by River Yamuna and National Highway 2 bypass. In the west, it is bounded by Delhi Cantonment Area, Indira Gandhi International Airport and by National Highway 8. In the south, it is bounded by Badarpur, Mehrauli, Mahipalpur Road. As per the URDPFI guidelines, the zonal plan should contain the following. Now, we are looking at the content of the zonal plan. The zonal plan should contain an introduction section which should provide a brief about the city, indicating its regional setting, functional character and growth trends. Further, the introduction section should also refer and connect to the development plan or the master plan of the city, for which it acts as a building block. We call it as a building block because local area plan plays an important role in the realization of the development plan or master plan of any city. In the plan, we also inform about the built up area, character, extent and the delineation boundaries, so to understand area and plan for the interventions. In this introductory section, the interdependence of the planned zone with the other zones should be specified so that in the plan we understand the vital role of the zone in facilitating the development of the area under consideration, as well as its key role in contributing in the smooth functioning of the entire city, particularly mobility and the services. If we look into the zone, this zone has been developing since pre-independence era through Master Plan of 1962, 2001 and 2021. As such, the zone has heterogeneous characters, where the unplanned areas and the planned areas developed under the norms of various plans coexist. Zone F is identifiable with low density and green character. This zone is mainly comprised of planned, well-maintained posh residential localities. This also includes rehabilitation colonies and government housing areas. This zone has some of the most prestigious institutions like All India Institute of Medical Science, Safdarjung Hospital, Holy Family Hospital, universities and educational institutions such as South Campus of Delhi, University, Indian Institute of Technology, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Jamia Millia University. A significant feature of this zone is its urban heritage, where first 4 cities of Delhi's, namely Lal Kot, Siri, Tughlaqabad and Jahan Panah are located. The next content suggested in the guidelines include the site background and analysis, followed by conceptual framework covering future vision, planning parameters, planning concepts, urban design framework, projected requirements, hierarchy targeted in the zone. Thereafter, in the zonal plan, the proposal and the development strategy should be provided with details, including the land use plan, proposed circulation system, proposals for physical infrastructure development has to be provided, proposals for community facilities development, involved strategies for new development, redevelopment and improvement. All these plans have to be given. Proposal for integrating and developing urban villages has to be provided, as well as proposal for informal sector development has to be given. The details should also cover the strategy for rehabilitation, regularization of unauthorized colonies, strategies for maintenance of these services, provision for facilitating physically challenged and disabled in urban development, proposals regarding vending zones such as transit-oriented market, pedestrianization of the market streets, use of only non-motorized vehicles and permitted buses in vending zones. Such kind of interventions can also be taken up in the zonal plan. Further, in order to address the concerns of the environment, the guidelines suggest the following should be covered. Plan for conservation and improvement of land profile, rivers, streams, watersheds, green covers and landscape should be prepared as per the requirements of the zone. Identification of the heritage areas, zone and plan for conservation should be provided. Energy efficient and environmentally sustainable development has to be taken care of. Provision for water harvesting and common infrastructure at local area plan level has to be considered or made. Integration of the proposals regarding air, water and noise pollution control has to be done. Security mapping focusing on provision of appropriate street furniture including lighting, these all need to be undertaken. Spacing of police booth has to be done. Also consideration is recommended by the guidelines for providing security for women. So, all these things have to be taken care in the environmental concerns while working for the zonal plan. Furthermore, zoning regulations have to be seen, such as defining various zones, then what use restrictions would be there, uses permitted, conditionally permitted and uses which are prohibited has to be spelled out. What has been proposed for the mixed use land uses has to be indicated. Strategy for non-conforming land use have to be mentioned. Strategies for hazard zone and regulations have to be clarified. Proposal for meeting women's need. Further mixed use development with focus on street activities is also recommended specifically for the women's need. Transit oriented development and space provision for street vendors have to be encouraged in areas to be active at various times of the day and night. We further see that zonal plan also need to address to the development regulations. Building regulations and building bylaws have to be indicated. Urban design of the major hubs, if it is required, has to be indicated in the plan. Architectural control likewise have to be indicated. Specific development controls of heritage areas and other specific areas, traditional areas as defined by the local authorities, if any, may be provided in the local plan. Further, in the zonal plan, resource mobilization and implementation plan has to be given. While giving this, institutional setup for implementation needs to be addressed. Physical infrastructure development cost, including annual and 5-year phasing, has to be specified. Resource mobilization for implementation through public, private and other sectors have to be indicated. Further, it needs to give implementation framework, where one gives how the plan will be phased, what all projects and policies will be prioritized for development, and how the entire development would be managed. Further, the local area plan provides all these maps, a suggestive list that it needs to provide the detailed scale maps of the prevailing situations, detailed scale maps of the existing land use, detailed scale maps of proposed land use, scaled maps of proposed locations of infrastructure and social services, which it's to be addressed in the zonal plan. Looking at the zone plan F, in the side background of the zonal plan F, land use distribution and analysis is included, so that we know how land is put into use, its proportion and level of quality of life for the people living in the zone. So, here we see how the land is distributed, and we look at the plan which is prepared for that particular zone, zone F. This land use plan of zone F is made in 1:20,000 scale. Further, we see while providing the population and the density and the projection done for this, we see the plan provides information about what is the existing population, what is the holding capacity, and what is the projected population. Master Plan of Delhi 2021 has stipulated the population holding capacity of this zone to be about 19,75,000 and the total area of the zone to be 11,000 hectare. As per Master Plan 2021, number of planning measures such as local area planning, redevelopment of villages, unauthorized colonies and built up areas, restructuring and upgradation of residential areas in the influence zone of the MRTS and major transport corridors, a network of recreational and sports facilities to be suitably incorporated while preparing the detailed scheme has been instructed. In the zonal plan, the information on the transportation such as circulation network, traffic flow, people and goods and terminal facilities are provided, which are important to address the need of the area as well as the entire city. So, the zonal plan provides all these information. In this snapshot you can see it talks about the circulation network, what all circulation networks are there, what road network are there. It gives all the details and identifies all the road stretches. It also identifies the urban relief roads. It also indicates and lists all the mass transit system in this area. We also see an indication of the influence zone and how the details of each influence zone has to be worked out. So, in the zonal development plan, the number of colony roads, local drains, high tension wires, heritage areas, etc. are not indicated. Therefore, in this particular plan, they have indicated the limitation why the influence zone, the details of those could not be made. Likewise, it gives information on the bus depot, bicycle tracks, what have been proposed, and also the railway stations. Further, we see within this circulation, they also provide information on the parking and then the range of parkings which we see. You can see here they provide information on park and ride, public parking, parking facilities in DTC depot, underground parking, parking in residential areas, multi-level parking, idle truck parking. So, you can see the range of parking which has been identified and demarcated and provided in the zonal plan. The zonal plan F further provides information on the physical and social infrastructure along with assessment of current gap and future need of the population. So, here we see it addresses to the health concern. Here it is showing the what guidelines are being referred as per Delhi guidelines are applied, as well as is also compared with the World Health Organization's standards what have been recommended. So, that has been addressed here, and then based on that further what kind of interventions are needed have been projected. Here we see they document the list of hospitals which are already there in zone 5, zone F. So, we see it has all these hospitals, Holy Family Hospitals, Escort Hospital, AIMS, Safdarjung Hospital, Apollo Hospital, and so on. So, this zone already has these range of infrastructure, health infrastructure in the vicinity. Further, in order to address the gap, rebuilding, upgradation and modernization of the existing old hospital is proposed by enhancement of FAR for various levels of health infrastructure. So, in order to meet the projected target, FAR, enhancement of FAR has been recommended. Likewise, we see the list of education facilities in this area. So, the Zonal Development Plan provides the entire list, what all are there, which are at the national level also. Most of the institutions are at the national level. So, how does that caters to the infrastructure facility of the city or the nation or the particular area. So, we see this location has IIT Delhi, it has JNU, it has medical colleges, vocational training centers, sports facilities, communication and post telephone facilities. So, all these are located here. So, these have been identified, marked, and further interventions have been indicated. We can see the list here, all the facility centers have been marked here, and all what kind of proposals have been given have been listed in the zonal plan. The zonal plan provides the detail on the environment such as green cover including parks, open spaces, forest, orchids and green. Further, we see the zonal plan provides details on environment such as green cover including parks, open spaces, forest, orchids and green. Here we see the snapshot of the zonal plan document. Environmental areas of environment significance have been identified. All the recreational areas have been identified. We see that this zone is unique in terms of large green area and open space. The south central Mehrauli Ridge, which is a conservation area, falls in the hierarchy of regional parks. Besides large district parks, it has two city forests as Hauskas and Jahapana. There are various sports complexes like Siri Fort, Saket, Jasola and also lawn tennis stadia. We look at all these parks at the south central ridge area which are located in this zone, and what kind of planning interventions are needed to protect them and enhance their quality. We can also see the district park of Haus Khas, we can see district park of Daula Kuan, and we can see Satpula Lake here. In the plan, we see the slope analysis and drainage information as well, which are necessary for decision making. The snapshot of the zonal plan here, how they have indicated and listed all the drainage which are there and the water bodies which are located in the zone. So, we can see here Barapula drain, just I have got the image for this just to understand the location, and Maharani Bagh drain. So, we can see the situation in the zone. Further, in the zonal plan, we see that information on housing stock and the typologies such as low cost housing, affordable housing are provided in detail for addressing the housing concern at the zonal and the city level. The types of housing subsystems which we see are plotted residential development, rehabilitation colonies, villages, unauthorized colonies, mixed land use, resettlement colonies, housing for poor. The residential locations identified in this zone has been subdivided into following categories in the zonal plan, which include rehabilitation colonies, government housing schemes, cooperative housing building societies, privately developed colonies, residential areas developed by DDA including group housing schemes, slum and jhuggi-jhopdi housing schemes, unauthorized regularized colonies, urbanized villages. So, we see all these criteria have been created, have been identified and noted down in the zonal plan. We see the glimpses of this plotted residential development. This is one of the largest government housing complex at R.K. Puram. We see another largest government housing complex at South Delhi. Another project we see at Moti Bagh, New Delhi. So, you may get an idea about the region we are talking about. And this is the judges, top officials housing complex. Further, we see that there are several large rehabilitation colonies developed by Ministry of Rehabilitation to provide accommodation for the disabled person after the independence of the country. We further also see that there are several large rehabilitation colonies developed by the Ministry of Rehabilitation to provide accommodation for the displaced persons after the independence of the country. These include Lajpat Nagar, Kalkaji, Amar Colony, Malviya Nagar and so on. So, we can see how the picture of Lajpat Nagar, Kalkaji we can see here just to visualize. Amar Colony we can see here. These have become very congested, as you have also seen in the picture, mainly due to non-residential activities in the residential premises. Therefore, in the zonal plan, it has been highlighted that certain pockets where there is a heavy congestion, urban renewal scheme be prepared and required infrastructure be provided by the local body. Further, the zonal plan also identifies 36 villages in zone F, for which they have provided a comprehensive list. The socio-economic changes in these villages have been substantial. The redevelopment plan needs to ensure that the permissibility of the mixed use zoning at property or within the premise level is compatible to the predominant residential areas. In the zonal plan, the need for village redevelopment scheme has been highlighted for development and upgradation of villages. The village abadi are treated as special area, where special area regulation of Master Plan 2021 are applicable. So, this is the kind of a list which the zonal plan provides. Further, we see that the zonal plan also identifies the unauthorized colony. So, there has been initiative to regularize unauthorized colony by Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi. So, within that, like we talked about how we fit in with the other interventions and the policy. So, to fit within that, regularization of unauthorized colony is being taken up, and in the zonal plan, the tentative list of the unauthorized colonies falling in the zone has been provided. As in the case of village abadi, the land use of the finally approved unauthorized colonies located in any use zone at any point of time within the boundaries specified by the competent authority would be residential. Another typology which we see is mixed land use. Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India and Government of National Capital Delhi. So, in the zonal plan, list of mixed use streets falling in zone F have been identified and prepared. So, here we can see the list which has been prepared and aligned with all the other interventions in place from this particular zone. Next, we can see the category resettlement colonies. There are a number of resettlement colonies in this zone. Most of the resettlement colonies have been provided with essential services, but the immediate need is of individual services, that is water, sewerage and electricity. Zonal plan states to align the construction of the houses with the approved standard and building plans to ensure healthy and better environment. In the zonal plan, provision has been made for cooperative societies, private developers, government agencies to come forward for redevelopment based on the incentives as applicable for the squatter rehabilitation scheme. Likewise, we also see another typology addressing to the housing for the poor. In the zonal plan, all the resettlement plots are identified. As per the records, the zone has more than 40,000 resettlement plots and 31,000 EWS Janta dwelling units. Likewise, all the list for slum rehabilitation. For slum rehabilitation, in the zonal plan, all the locations have been identified. We see 96 slum clusters in the zone. Further, we see the industrial segment is also addressed. In the zonal plan, current industrial guidelines are reviewed, which talks about guidelines for redevelopment of existing industries, which have to be framed within 2 years by DDA in consultation with GNCTD and the local bodies. So, in overall strategies, the redevelopment scheme covers the following aspects: modernization and upgradation of existing planned industrial areas, redevelopment of areas which have become industrialized over the period of 2 master plans, even though not designated as such. So, we see in this particular zone, we have Okla industrial area, phase 1, 2 and 3. We also see Mohan cooperative industrial area, SI complex, Okla near Modi flour mill. So, we see these 3 industrial areas in this zone. These industrialized areas were developed in the 70s and over the years have deteriorated considerably in terms of physical infrastructure, and in some cases deficiencies on this score have persisted in an overall sense. Besides, there have been changes in the nature of activities in some of the areas, and there have also been demand for using part of the plots for activities which could be classified as commercial. Therefore, in the zonal plan, the need for modernization and upgradation of the existing industrial areas with due regards to environmental consideration has been emphasized. Also, as most of the industrial areas are located along the mass public transport corridors, the need for optimizing the use around these areas through the process of redevelopment has been proposed. We further see urban design guidelines which have been addressed in this zonal plan. We see district centers, provision for district centers have been made in this plan, where all which will be accessible through the major transports mode and surrounding residential areas through pedestrian approaches as well as these district centers have to be integrated with the public spaces. We also see other provision has been given for other areas for urban design interventions. So, all the historical monumental places and have to be taken under urban design aspect. And then also areas along the entry routes and other important routes in Delhi, Badarpur border, they all need to be addressed through urban design intervention. Likewise, all the MRTS corridors, entries and terminals like Tughlabad railway station, Central Secretariat, Qutub Minar, Central Secretariat, Badarpur have to be considered under the urban design intervention. Similarly, we see there are proposals for conservation of built heritage, also heritage zones have been identified, and also the archaeological parks have been identified in the zone for further interventions. Similarly, we see the zonal plan identifies the physical infrastructure which majorly concern water supply and sewerage drainage and solid matter. So, those all interventions how they have to be taken care of is been addressed in the plan. Also, we see in the physical infrastructure intervention, power and all these things have been identified, and then the land use plan has been indicated. So, we see that by all these, by reviewing the zonal plan of zone F of Delhi, we have seen how the zone F was detailed out. All the aspects were clearly stated in the plan, and also they were interconnected through the circulations and through the other infrastructure with the other part of the city. So, we have seen what all it has within the what all details the document contains and how they are interconnected. So, we have looked into the intent of the local area plan, why it is made. Then we have also seen different kinds of local area plans, and we have reviewed the zonal plan, one of the zonal plan of Delhi, to understand the intent and content of the local area plans. These are the references used. Our coverage was limited with the scope to make you aware of the topic. There are enormous readings and movies available to explore. Few are suggested here. This is not an extensive list. You may feel free to suggest more from your experience. Please feel free to ask questions. Let us know about your concerns you have. Do share your opinion, experiences, and suggestions. Looking forward to interacting and co-learning with you while exploring cities and urban planning. Thank you.